So, guys, Jupiter in the 12th house. What happens when you have Jupiter in your 12th house in your horoscope? I don't know. Why are you coming here to find out? Jeez. What, you want me to tell you what Jupiter in the 12th house does? Really? Are you serious? Well, I'm going to charge you $100 an hour. Do it. All right, let's get started. Okay. So, what is 12th house? 12th house is a house of your hidden talents, of spirituality, of the other dimension, the final placement of the soul. It represents foreign things, foreign lands, places and things you're alien to. Like when you come into a foreign land, from Japan, you come to the United States and you're like in a completely different world, different language, different everything. Okay? And 12th house represents losses. It could represent loss of money. It could represent loss of health. It could represent loss of your own energy, meaning that you're involved with something so much, you exert your energy so much that you kind of give away your energy in a charity. So 12th house represents house of charity, of giving something towards spirituality. And this is the most spiritual house of them all. And this also represents dreams. It represents imagination. It represents your subconscious mind. Like your mind that is operating now. Like, hey, I'm talking to you guys. But the subconscious mind is what really makes me act the way I am when I am not talking to somebody. When I'm doing things, my little peccadillos, my little, idiosyncrasies that I go through every day is represented by this house. So Jupiter comes in here. Jupiter is spirituality, religion, philosophy, beliefs, higher learning. It represents expansion, optimism, just belief in the righteousness of things. So when Jupiter comes here, the first thing you can say is that if you want to be successful in an endeavor, in a business, in work regarding esoteric and spirituality, this is the placement for you. So if you want to become an astrologer and make a living from it, you want to become a feng shui expert, make a living from it. You want to become a meditation and yoga teacher, make a living from it. You want to become a shaman, you want to become a healer, you want to become a psychic, and you want to make a career out of it. This is the placement. This is where God, see, Jupiter is the blessings of God. Like whatever your karma is and whatever God is blessed with you, that's where Jupiter is placed. So when God says that, okay, your Jupiter is going to be in the 12th house, meaning that you are made for the things that people may think of taboo, people who are kind of not sure, hey, maybe you shouldn't go into this career because it may not help you. Where this indicates, with this placement indicates strongly that, hey, you can be successful in a spiritual path, in a career regarding spirituality. And since 12th house represents isolated places, foreign places, ashrams, and you bring in Jupiter's wisdom and his spirituality here, these people, they love being in isolated places. They love being in foreign lands. However, they kind of wander into foreign lands. They wander there. Here, the soul is lost of its material identity. Like how we have our identity, we try to find it. Okay, I know I will be something when I have a Ferrari. I know I'll be something when I have a house. I know I'll be something when I have a wife and 2 kids and I have this type of house, this type of job, and that's what defines me. And here, these people do that. They tend to go into the material world, but then what happens, they find out and they figure out that this is not who I am. My soul is not really desiring this. I chased after money all this time. I chased after, cars and all the vehicles and all the little gadgets in my life, but I'm not satisfied. This is not me. And this is what happens with these people. At first, they chase that. And then after that, they realize, oh, they shouldn't be chasing that. And that's when they find that spirituality is the real wealth. Spirituality is the real assets that I can own for eternity. And so through their mishaps in their early life, they're able to guide people later on in their life. This, look, this is what I did, and this is what happened. So maybe you shouldn't do that. And here, it takes these people into foreign lands regarding spirituality. It on a basis of spirituality, on a basis of their esoteric learnings, they go into foreign lands, and then there they become a well-dignified guru. So like some gurus come from India to United States, and they somehow either stay here permanently or they go around the world in foreign lands spreading wisdom. So that's what happens. Travel through foreign land, especially in Jupiter Dasha, you will travel to foreign land. Now, for a woman, okay, your husband, you can meet your husband in an isolated place, in an ashram, in foreign lands. You can meet your husband in a meditation class. You can meet your husband during some sort of a spiritual awakening group that was happening, or you can meet your husband even online, okay, but it might be a long distance relationship. And what happens with this, if let's say Jupiter is debilitated, after marriage, you can live far apart from your husband for a long period of time, okay, and your relationship with your husband may be of a level that you don't understand. You may find your husband to be completely spiritual, where you want to be in a material world, you want to have kids, you want to have that house, and your husband is suddenly like, no, I don't want that, I want to be, going somewhere else, I want to find myself. And then you end up battling this kind of a situation with in this placement of a Jupiter. But if Jupiter is well placed, if Jupiter is excelled in his own house, your husband would be very spiritual, yet committed to the commitment of family, the commitment of giving you everything that you want. Yet at the same time, these are the most spiritual people that you will find. Even a debilitated Jupiter here, will take a person to spirituality, yet with a lot of struggle, with a lot of ups and downs. And here is the one thing: these people tend to get into a lot of debt due to their spending on spiritual things. They spend money on spiritual items. They think like, oh, the holiness will take care of my expenses. Let me just do this. Let me just go to foreign lands and I'll put my stuff in credit card. And they do that and they get into debts. And so if you're debilitated Jupiter in a bad situation, you end up filing for bankruptcy. You get into a lot of debt based on because here your mind is no longer into the realistic realm. Your mind is not into the logical realm. It's always in another realm. So you do not make good decisions regarding the basic necessities of life. You make rational decisions, even though it's not an Aries placement, but you make decisions based on your subconscious mind, and your mind says, no, let me do this, let me go to Peru, let me visit the pyramids and I'll find myself. Okay, I'll just put it on the credit card and I'll do it. And that's where you get into that. So you have to be very careful, because your soul is still in a material plane. And so you have to balance that out. But from 12th house, Jupiter looks on to the 4th house, 6th house, and the 8th house. So let's discuss that. So when Jupiter, well-placed Jupiter is aspecting the 4th house of, comfort, mother's nourishment, your home life, these people try to make their home like a spiritual sanctuary. Like when you go to their home, you'll find these huge statues of Buddha, very light and pale colors. You'll find, candles and everything that makes you want to feel like you're in a spiritual sanctuary. So, and they try to be very spiritual about their approach in home too. Like they'll talk about spirituality with their wife and kids. Everything regarding even, comfort will have a spiritual wisdom behind it. However, these people love to have big homes, and they love to make it a spiritual sanctuary. Why? Because Jupiter represents big expansion. And Jupiter in the 12th house represents spirituality. So they want a big home so they can make it more spiritual. You see what I'm saying? And then when it's looking at the 6th house of enemies, of deaths and diseases, okay, they should be careful. If Jupiter is not well placed, you can, especially due to being in the 12th house of not in the material plane, you can lose that battle with the enemies if you do not take a logical charge towards them. Okay? But a well-placed Jupiter, through his spiritual wisdom, through his knowledge of the other world, he'll be able to overcome their enemies. So obviously there will be. But if not, then your enemies can expose your secrets. Remember that, because 12th house is the house of secrets as well, your hidden talents. So if you're hiding something, and if not hiding something, but if you have a secret or a hidden talent that you do not want to expose to the world, your enemies will expose it. Like like in the old days, oh, she's a witch, and somebody finds out you're a witch and they want to get to you, they'll spread it around. Oh, she's a witch, stone her. And that's how people get you. Or if you are holding a certain secret, that will be exposed. Or a secret that you didn't know was there will be exposed, and you'll be like, oh shit, how did this happen? Why did I do this? Where did this come from? And your enemies will expose you to that. Debts, again, as I told you, you can acquire a lot of debts with this. And if it's well placed, you'll have debt and you'll overcome that debt without going into a really hard financial situation. But if Jupiter is not well placed, it is going to give you debt based on your own mindset. Because of spirituality, because of esoteric learning, you will spend money. Whether it's your money on debt or your own assets, you will tend to spend a lot of money on foreign travels and going into this meditation class, that meditation class, and everything costs money. You also want to be aware of any health issues with this placement, which I'll discuss later. Okay, we'll discuss, because I want to be very careful of how I explain diseases and how I tell you what happens with these kind of placements. Okay, but we'll go through that in my medical series, like what Jupiter does through each houses regarding your medical, your diseases and all those good stuff. Right, good stuff. Then Jupiter looks at the 8th house of occult science of secrets. And this is why I said your enemies can not only expose secrets you didn't know, but secrets that you know they are there and you don't want to be exposed. Why? Because from 12th house, Jupiter looks at the 8th house of secrets that you are holding, of hidden occult talent, of occult studies. So again, occult studies, the career based on occult studies becomes very strong. So do not feel ashamed that, oh my God, my whole family is full of doctors and here I am trying to go into pranic healing. No, that is your spiritual path, man. Because once all those doctor family of yours dies, there's nobody else that you need to prove yourself to. So think like that. Don't try to prove yourself to your family members. Hey, I became a doctor too, with Jupiter in the 12th house. No. Follow the path that this source energy has laid out for you. Because no matter if you're a physicist, Einstein, doctor, a surgeon, we're all freaking going in the same place. We're all going in dirt. People are going to forget about you within 10 years, 20 years. People think like, oh, just because Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson, people are going to remember him for 20 years. But you know what? The next 2 generations will think of Michael Jackson as like Elvis Presley. Like, I didn't grow up with him, so I can't really understand the dance and all of this and how people are crazy about him, because you know why? In 20 years, there will be somebody else, somebody better. So remember, follow your path. And occult in here, sudden events. So suddenly you can acquire debt. Suddenly you can go into foreign lands. Suddenly you can find awakening of spiritual self. All right. So guys, this was my analysis of Jupiter in the 12th house. And yes, we are finally at the end with Jupiter in the 12th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe above. And if you want to know where your Jupiter is placed along with other planets and to know about real self, check out my link below. Check out my book there, Astrology at the Speed of Light. And when you get the book, I will send you the link to look at your own chart. And tomorrow we'll be announcing what we're going to be doing next. So stick around. Bye-bye, people. I am going to be your reckoning tomorrow.